So Phil, frantic local derby today. I guess you sometimes say that a point away from home is a good point, but I think there was a big period to the game today where you think we're going to get 3.
Yeah, and probably they thought the same. Just after half time when they got the equalising goal. Well, let's do the tale of the tape. You know, when they go 1-0 up and we've just lost the previous 4 games, then you question the mentality of 1 or 2 players. Are they with you? Are they trying for the team to succeed? And I can't fault them, not in the slightest. I mean, we'll go a goal behind from a little bit of quality from a free kick, and they get the rebound. But I question the decision for the free kick first and foremost. And then we'll get to the second goal in a minute. But we then really got a grip of the game. I thought we put our foot in, we won second balls, and then consequently, because we've got that style of player in the middle of the park, we dominated possession for 30-35 minutes in that first half, and rightly so came in 2-1 up. Then you go in at half time and you don't want them to take the foot off the gas at all, you know, and I don't think we did. But I think a key moment was when we lost DJ. DJ's got a little bit of know-how and a little bit of nous in the middle of the park, and you know, when he's playing alongside a fairly young central midfield, you know, just took in Zach from Birmingham, and he's only a young lad, but he looked like he was growing into the game. I took him off just to put a little bit of experience in Elliot Whitehouse to get us over the line, to tell you the truth, because if you say that to a kid or a young man, get us over the line, sometimes they don't know what you mean. How do you get you over the line? You know, it's experience that gets you over the line. That's why I put Elliot Whitehouse in there. But at the same time, losing, as I say, DJ turned the tide their way to a certain extent, but it has to be questioned. The second goal, another free kick, great exponent of a free kick, fantastic, you know, well played to them, but it's never a free kick in a million years. But he's given it, and he's put them back. He's given them the opportunity to put themselves back in the game, and then you look up against it, and I made it has to be said, very positive changes. You know, when I brought Mustafa on, and then I brought Boothie on. Boothie had the opportunity to do exactly the same, and he did exactly the same. And when the spill came back to Macca, if you wanted to fault anybody, there it is, to go 3-2 in the 96th minute or whatever it was then. So we could have won it, but we could have lost it at the same time. Was a point a fair result? I don't know. I think everybody will argue against me if they're a Kings Lynn supporter, but if you're a Peterborough Sports fan, you would think that's maybe 2 points dropped.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. And you mentioned DJ there again. Can't seem to grab a break at the minute. He's gone off again with an injury. Can you say anything about the injury? It looked fairly bad from here.
I think it's a lot worse than it was before. You know, he was coming off with sort of precautionary feelings. You know, he was like, it was cramping up, or he was getting a burning sensation or whatever it was. You know, and to be fair, he's been out for a number of weeks now, you know, and he's came back in a couple of training sessions which he's had. We've put him through his paces, the rigours of hard work off the field of play. But when you get on the field of play, in the end, the cut and thrust of a game of football, regardless of what level it is, it's you know, you're on edge and you're working that extra 5%, as it were, you know. So if training was 90-95%, he's up to 100% in the game, and consequently it's gone. So it's looking like a proper tear this time.
That's bad news, isn't it, for a lot of sports fans? But a lot of sports fans come here today and see the team sheet and would have been pleased to see DJ playing and starting along with Mark Jones.
Yeah, very much so. Jonesy's, you know, he's got himself a goal today. It's a typical Jonesy goal, you know. He's managed to get a half a yard in the 6-yard box, and to be fair to Connor Wood, I was saying to Charlie on the bench, if Connor misses the first man out here, we've got a chance. If he doesn't, you know, he's off the corners. So that was his 3rd corner, I believe, in the first half, and first 2 he wasted an opportunity to put the home team under pressure. But the 3rd one certainly had a lot of quality about it, and it was a 6-yard box header from Jonesy, who has to be brave to put your head in them situations. But delighted for Mark, having pulled a calf a couple of weeks back, or felt some kind of cramp in his calf in a warm-up. He's trained a couple of times and put his name forward today and did the job, to be fair. If we had gone into that with Shaq Coulthurst, who was, you know, he's got an illness that the doctors have diagnosed that he's struggling to get any kind of level of fitness so I couldn't really risk him, and hence consequently I didn't put him on the bench. So I had the opportunity of playing Jonesy, which was a risk, or Boothie, or Jonesy and Boothie. But I think where Luca Miller's concerned, I think he can play anywhere. He could play probably centre half instead of Kevin Joshua and still had the ball. But he got a grip of the game. He did a little bit of magic in the first 10 minutes. I thought, oops, that's going to take us into the opposition's penalty box for sure. There's a lad called Jack Lambert playing for them who was of similar ilk, and I thought Luca put him to shame, the amount of quality that he provided, and then he got himself a goal. There's lots to like about Luca, but we've got to get that support to him. We've got to get that ball to him first and foremost. But when you've got the weight of Jonesy up front with you, then he's got a better chance of getting spills, and maybe then he can thrill.
It was a nervy start, wasn't it? And especially at the back, it seemed that we were a little bit nervous in the position that we were in. I've not seen any possession stats, but we had good periods of play in that first half once we dragged ourselves into the game, and I think it was Luca who dragged us into the game.
Correct. And you've got to get ball to him, don't get me wrong. But I would have said the first 15 minutes of the game would have been 75-80% to Kings Lynn. We were constant pressure, and what it takes a little bit of experience, but good players, you know, they work it out, and once they've worked it out, then you get the ball down and play. Everybody was in a different position and little half positions, and nobody knew that the jobs were to certain, you know, just to move a couple of yards to the right or to the left, and it was just alterations that were being made out there. And I think majority of it was like of DJ. You've got a bit of experience behind him in Anthony Stewart. Aaron Powell's grown into games. For me, he's looking first on the team sheet, if truth be known, and Connor Wood, a little bit of experience. But Jonesy being out there, you know, you can drag the kids through it, as it were, you know, the younger lads. But together, I thought it was a collective reason why we got the foothold in the game first and foremost, but secondly got something from the game, and that's the main part of it. We've stopped the rot, hopefully, and we've got something from the game with 2 home games coming up.
Yeah, and you, your players collapsed, your own words, against Scarborough last game out, and you certainly can't say that they did today. Went 2-2, the equaliser came on the half hour, and we could have easily, on the hour, and we could have easily
gone under,
collapsed again, couldn't we? But
absolutely,
you can't level that up this
no,
today.
There's certain things that you can level at part-time players or non-league players, and one of them is commitment. Today you've seen commitment. It's commitment at its finest, you know, regardless of how they're feeling at this moment in time. We've got something from the game, and sometimes it's very difficult, you know, when you're steering a ship in one direction, you're trying to stop it and turn it round. It's the process of turning it round and playing in a different way, playing in a certain style, playing under a different manager with different voices, etc, etc. I don't know if you noticed, Gashi was here, Michael was on the bench today, and I've welcomed Gashi with open arms, and that will continue, you know, because I would be foolish not to. But one or two of the Kings Lynn players who are questioning the fact that, you know, the previous manager's in our changing room. If Gashi was in our changing room as the previous manager, he's given a lot of help to a lot of players, and more importantly, on the bench, he's given me help as well now. And long may that continue. That's probably a Gashi kind of performance today, and if that's the case, then Peterborough Sports fans can be happy.
And what sort of message have you got for fans around Gashi? How long is it before we see him back on the pitch?
Nigel, it's a great question. If I had a crystal ball, I could answer that question. But you know, his age doesn't help him, and the amount of time he's been out, and not only that, the psychology of losing your job on the day you got injured, you know, and you lost your job, and then you've been in a pot for about 2 months, and that can't be easy for him. But it's true testimony to the lad himself, you know, that he's here and he's supporting the players that are out there. Had a couple of words with Powley at half time and trying to improve his game and trying to help him. There's a lot to like about what Gashi's got to offer, you know, but I want him to offer it in a positive way, as he has done right the way through his career.
And we have mentioned it briefly right at the end there, 96th minute, it could have all been different. The ball fell to Sam McClintock and just couldn't get his foot round it, could he?
He was coming onto it, and I think he was in a race with 2 other Peterborough Sports players. I don't know who they were, but I thought he's just racing to get to it early, because he's maybe thinking that there was a defender there or whatever. but it was a golden opportunity. How you've missed a target from there, I don't know. With Macca's ability as well, by the way, he's got great technique. But again, is it somebody up there saying it wasn't to be? You got to work for to survive this year, and you would have took 3 points. Of course, you would have 3-2. Still, it still aches me that I can't manage to get these players to have that mentality of a clean sheet. But to get a point at Kings Lynn on a Boxing Day. And not only that, there's a lot of times Boxing Day, you've overindulged the day before, you've been with your families, and it's very difficult to get out of bed and, get up ahead of steam. I think everybody did today. I think everybody, to a player, coach, manager, and supporters, and more importantly, the supporters have turned up. I've just been across there, and there's quite a few of them I've got to know now, face to face, and they still haven't thrown the lager down them at 96 minutes on the clock. It would have been champagne, hopefully, if Mac had scored, but wasn't to be, Nigel.
Indeed. And just finally, Mustafa Carriol came on, got a few minutes this evening. How important is it that we can get those players onto the pitch to what's going to happen at the end of the season?
Very, very. Mustafa shows you what he can do. I think a lot of people on the bench, and even Charlie, my assistant, was surprised when I was taking Woody off. I just noticed one of the tackles that Woody put in just coming up to the substitution, and it was one that just thought he was drawing a little bit of attention for the second yellow card, and that would have been a disaster for her. So I took him off, and it makes it look like we're going for it, but at the same time, Muzza's got a head for a game. He's got an eye for a game. He knows, with all his experience, he knows how a game can be won and lost and how you get it over the line. But even sitting deeper than what I wanted him to be, he's still got 3 great crosses in. So if you noticed when the free kick went in, when Boothie took the free kick, if you noticed who was standing on the halfway line marking a man, it was Muzza. When I'm half expecting him to be on the ball to take the free kick. But as you say, it wasn't meant to be. We've got a point, and we'll back to Pims Park for 2 games now and see if we can get 6 out of 6.
Indeed, let's hope so, and let's hope that point today kicks off our festive season and we can get out that bottom 4. Well done today, Phil, and good luck for the next game.
Thank you very much.